Also very funny that they have a guitar player on here named Ike Turner.
The whole time I was thinking, like, is it just an Ike Turner sample or something, and they're just like being cute about it, or is it a man named Ike Turner who happens to play guitar also?
Yeah, I think it's.
In which case, change your name, dude. It's
if Michael B. Jordan could get out of the shadow.
He's got the B. He's got the B. All right, it's not Ike B. Turner.
What if he changed his name to Ike B. Turner?
That'd be a better name than Ike Turner. Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined as always by my jacketed co-host Alexander Volt. Say hello.
Hello.
This is Every Album Ever, the podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time, except for these EAE singles episodes where we discuss one brand new album at a time. And today, what are we talking about?
Not only do we got a brand new album, but a brand new artist called Bronson Arm.
And that's their self-titled debut. Bronson Arm, who was gifted to us by our boy Tom Osman, who should all go follow and support. He recently interviewed, I believe, both members, and you could check. I think there's a full episode, basically his new podcast. So you can find a link to that in the description. TomOsman.substack.com. Tom Osman's whatever comes next. He also interviewed Pete Stahl from Scream on there. And yeah, there's a lot more insight, a lot more stuff than we have here. Because here we're just going to be mostly talking about the music. And I mean, I guess we could do a little bit of backstory. Why the hell not? Because this album comes out on January 12th. So later this week, if you're watching it the day this drops. But nice early beginning of the year, new album, new band from Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is, I mean, the most fictional sounding city in America, I think. And made up of Blake Bickel and Garrett Yates. Just a duo, baritone guitar and drums. And
they sound a lot more powerful than a two-piece, though.
The two pieces are becoming quite a thing these days.
Yeah.
Of course, you got Mr. Flies. You got a band that we saw open for Oxbow.
Is it Psychic Trash?
Psychic Trash, I think. Is that what they're called? Yep, that's them.
Yep.
Yeah, and also from Michigan.
White Stripes, also from
the White Stripes, dude. If you're gonna cite a noisy duo, go Big Business.
I was gonna get to them, but I was still in the Detroit too.
Oh wait, they're from Detroit?
Yeah,
I completely forgot.
Yeah.
So Bronson Arm. All right. Little bit about the music. What does Alex think?
I enjoy this album quite a bit.
Really?
Yes. Kind of. It's weird to call it a throwback, but it reminds me of the glory days of bands on like Hydra Head Records.
Hydra Head
and Southern Lords. So yeah, like if Hydra Head was still around, I could see like this band fitting.
Yeah, I mean, because
being right at home on that label.
I got so many just AmRep noise rock vibes from this. I mean, it doesn't sound like exactly like an AmRep band, but it did remind me of it quite a bit.
It is a nice stew of a few things, because there's like, the Geezer Lizard influence.
The Geezer Lizard?
the Jesus Lizard.
Check out that episode.
And then I also see they cite Fugazi and Sonic Youth.
Yeah.
And then I'm glad they did, because then I was like, oh yeah, I could hear like that being like a Sonic Youth riff.
Yeah. Because honestly, like a lot of these riffs mostly didn't grab me the first time listening to it. It was just like, oh, it's just another noise rock band. But it's, he's using a baritone guitar. But it grew me more and more. I ended up having to listen to this one like a good number of times. And I think every song is pretty good. A couple of them, actually, I think I like the album a lot. I think the second half is really where it's at. And I didn't learn this until after my second or third listen. I believe the first 5 tracks have already been released as an EP, and they're basically unchanged. They're not re-recorded. They're just remastered for this.
Okay.
So really, the second half of the album is the only new thing, quote unquote. And I think it's significantly better than the first half. And it makes sense in my brain a lot more, because at least they're actually two separate things, really.
Well, it's all new to me. I do agree the back half is stronger, but I still think there's stuff in the first half that I like. The drummer is Garrett Yates, I believe, is the drummer, and Bickel is the guitar.
I believe so. No, yeah, Garrett's Garrett's drummer.
Also, very funny that they have a guitar player on here named Ike Turner.
See, that's what on track 9, which is
sorry, I got really fucking distracted.
No, I know. These credits are distracting. On track 9, Rapid Starvation. Apparently, Ike Turner plays second guitar on there. The whole time I was thinking, like, is it just an Ike Turner sample or something, and they're just like being cute about it, or is it a man named Ike Turner who happens to play guitar also?
Yeah, I think it's.
In which case, change your name, dude. It's me.
No, keep it. It's funny.
Having to explain that every time.
If Michael B. Jordan could get out of the shadow,
he's got the B. He's got the B. All right, it's not Ike B. Turner.
What if he changed his name to Ike B. Turner?
That'd be a better name than Ike Turner.
Anyways, so Yates is a very good drummer, very high energy. He really doesn't stop throughout most of the album. He's always got something to do.
One thing I did notice quite a bit from the first half, because like at the end of it, or like as I was going through it, like the first or second time, thinking like, man, all right, this is good, but it really picks up in the second half. It picks up a lot in the second half. The second half has a lot more overdubs. It has a lot more just experimentation, a lot more interesting melodies.
Layers,
and layers, brother. And the first half feels like a duo for the most part. Maybe not in like the fullness. It still sounds like a full band, but it doesn't. You could tell that that's basically how it sounds live. The second half, not so much.
Yeah, like it's very much a very like primal sound. But you know, I was expecting, I guess, a more noise orientated thing, but then you get to Hard Pass, which I believe is the second song.
Yep.
And I feel like that's channeling some Queens of the Stone Age without like sounding like Queens of the Stone Age, which is really hard to do.
That distortion and that fuzziness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the riffs, I was like, this could like be on songs for the Dead or Deaf.
Deaf.
I always get that mixed up. So I was like, oh, and then like Tedious Company, there's a shaker on there. Oh
yeah. Well, Hard Pass for one, Grammy and Mean a little bit dark. I was thinking like this isn't that super eventful, but then in the final minute, man, things pick up like crazy. Very cool. And for like, and I can't say it as much about the second half, but for the first 5 tracks, first 4 maybe, I don't love these riffs at all. They're pretty like just either ugly or just uneventful, but the way they pull them off, it's the characters and the performances and the execution far more than the riffs, at least in the first handful of songs.
I think I was like so entertained by the drumming in the first half.
It does carry a lot of weight. On Tedious Company, that was one song where it's like, if you're going to notice there being a lack of bass, it's on that song, but also it still has moments where you don't miss it. It just gets giant and fucking heavy and fat. It kind of alternates between the two, which is, it's good. I don't know. It's a weird thing with duos. Cause like duos without bass, because we knew someone who was in one of those bands. We've heard tons of those bands, and there's like really no substitute for a bass. Like you can octave pedal the fuck out of your guitar. Sure. But it's going to, there's still going to be something missing, but in moments like that, and I saw this with Psychic Trash too, when we saw them, there's moments where they'll just be kind of hanging on just whatever distortion that they're mostly leaning on. And then once in a while they'll kick in this fucking extra octave thing and it gets giant and huge and you don't miss a bass at all, but you only notice it when it's juxtaposed with the less bassy parts. So there's still like this weird inherent limitation, but it feels less like a limitation when you space it out the way it does in Tedious. It's a very convoluted way of describing my point of it sounds cool, but that's how I processed it in my head.
I love how Mike's "it sounds cool" is, yeah, something's missing. It's not right.
It's not. It sounds like shit, all right,
and that's why it's cool.
And that's why it's cool. It does sound negative.
Moving on. I like his ilk is a little more sinister than the other songs, but it still manages to be big and bombastic and gets kind of violent towards the, closing minute or so.
Really ugly and bitter, but super interesting intro to that one. It's a little bit more subdued. I dig the tom work on that song, but again, all stuff that got clicked with me after learning that was originally an EP. Is that that was the closer, and it does kind of have that sense about it.
Yeah.
It's still a really, really ugly song, but it's done really well.
But yeah, my attention really peaked up on Drain the Coffers, and that's where I was like, oh, I can hear some of that like Fugazi or that Sonic Youth influence where there's still like primal like sounding riffs, but then you have like a riff that sounds more alt rock, if you will. Yeah.
That's where I started getting perked up. Really good energy. It's a very smart pacing choice to put that song right there after his ilk because of the energy. Very frantic, paranoid riffs. I fucking love those dissonant chords that it has on there. I think it's a great song. I mean, super brief too. How short? I mean, that one's super short.
I mean, it's a fairly brief album.
It's a short album. Yeah, but that song is only 1:43. And that's what it was. Tom sent it to me. That's where I learned. He said the first 5 tracks were previously released digitally as the Tosser EP in 2021, and then they were remastered, not re-recorded for this album. So the Tosser EP is where the first 5 songs were. And the single, I guess you call it a single. It's the only track they released as of right now is track 7, "One with the Floor," which is one of the best songs on the album, I would say.
Yes.
Very good song.
I didn't even know it was a single, and yeah, it's my favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, before, like, we've heard a lot of like in the album there's been a lot of primal caveman like riffs.
Yeah, definitely.
But this one is noticeably like a cut above the rest. It's my favorite, and I was so like taken aback and pleasantly surprised by the way it ends with these almost like upbeat guitar riffs. This sounds really good.
Yeah, it has this really great eerie main riff. It's really heavy. It's really bitter. There's a section on 250 that kicks so much ass.
That's maybe what I'm talking about.
Is the part you're talking about?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. It's super memorable. I'm actually glad they chose that as whatever one they're going to release. It hits hard, and it does hit in a way that's a lot more, I guess, fleshed out than the earlier stuff, the first few tracks. Although I kind of gloss over the first handful of songs. There's stuff that I still like I think it's Consciousness Confuser. I believe it's that song where I think it's the choruses where it gets really ethereal and dark, and there's sung vocals. I believe that's the one I'm thinking of, but it's a cool song, and that part ends up being stuck in my head quite a bit, which kind of reminds me of the vocals, completely buried and mostly, not always, but mostly drowned in reverb. I mean, they're fine. It's mostly him shouting, Blake, mostly him shouting, some sung stuff, but very, very, very little. It's a lot of just guttural yells, not screams, not like hard, nothing that harsh, just him kind of shouting. It's unintrusive. It's not the most like revolutionary thing ever, but it doesn't get in the way of anything.
Yeah.
Patsy Ultima.
I almost wrote short but sweet, but it's short but angry.
Yes, it is. It's very straightforward, but it's very fun. A big, chunky, awesome riff around like 1:15. It's also another paranoid sounding one.
Also, it's kind of fun to just have a short, angry song is like, it's not an interlude, but like a little like palate cleanser.
Yeah. It's something that Ween did quite well. Check out the Ween episode. This band sounds nothing like them. Also, not that relevant to the songs themselves, but the whole thing is recorded nicely where everything bleeds into the next song.
Mhm.
It sounds like it's one long set, or not even long. It sounds like it's one set list. Feedback bleeding into the beginnings of, the next song or whatever. It's a cool effect. And might as well get to some Ike Turner on Rabbit Starvation, because that one, I can't tell what my favorite song is. It's either that one or The Closer.
I also love Rabbit Starvation. I love the like snare rolls.
Yep.
Throughout the song.
Very cool, busy driving drums.
You think maybe it might be dreamy, but then when the vocals come in, it just like hits you over the head. It's beautiful. It's savage. So good.
There's that song. It's almost like weird how much deeper that song sounds than a lot of the album. You could tell they just spent a lot more time with overdubs there. There's a lot more overdubs, especially that solo section, which is gorgeous. Has these really pretty and pristine guitars with a bunch of overdubs. It just sounds really fucking good, and it feels good. And there's like legitimate lovely moments in it, despite it being still noisy as shit. Closer, The Devil You Know, is murdery and awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you do a closer.
Yeah,
it's so good. I love the addition of these like gnarly synths. There's some horns.
Oh yeah,
I love the name of the guy who played the horns.
What's his name, Alex?
Disco Behemoth.
Sure is. That's his name. That's who played horns and / noise on that song.
Also, I feel like when you hear horns on like a noise band or a metal band these days, well, it's usually Patrick Shiroishi. 9 times out of 10.
Oh yeah. Your old schoolmate.
Yeah. He played on the Agriculture album.
Oh, really?
I think he played for Billy Woods as well. So
Homeboys gets around. I've had 1 or 2 pleasant hellos with him. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So I was like, it's probably Pat. He's on. No, this is a man named person, I don't know, named Disco, but
it is a being.
Yeah,
it's a disco being.
Lovecraftian disco.
Well, he does good work. It does good work.
Yeah.
But it's an evil and angry sounding track with big, giant, heavy tribal drums. And then the way it fucking deteriorates toward the end with all that bullshit is fucking so cool.
It's really memorable, and it stays with you when it ends, which is like the best thing you could ask for in a closing song.
Exactly. That's my only. It's actually emphasizes my only problem with the album is that it's so back heavy that it's like, where was all that crazy cool shit on the first half of the album? When it's like, well, literally they didn't do it. It was a different time. So that's my only problem with it, just the pacing of it, and where you feel it split into 2 halves, and how much cool experimentation is on the second half as opposed to the first half, which is just, I mean, it's fine. It's cool stuff, but I can't help but feel it. I feel it. I feel the shit out of it.
I enjoyed it. I noticed the difference. Not a negative in my book, but
I would like to see them live though.
I'm excited to see what these guys do in the future. Good way to start off the year, I think. Yeah,
I'm encouraged by that. Just the fact that there's still people doing this kind of noise rock is a little bit warms my heart a bit. Also, the Big Business connection continues because apparently the name Bronson Arm comes from a Carp song, "Get No Toys When You Pay the Money." So that's where the name came from.
Next, I don't want to say what we're doing next week, but next week there will be a Big Business connection too.
Ooh, interesting. These Big Business connections. So it's almost like we should cover Big Business soon.
They don't have that many albums, right? Like,
I have no idea.
I've
only heard like 2, honestly.
I'm gonna make you listen to Murder City Devils.
Oh man, what is it, like 20?
No, they have it's like 4 at most.
It's not so bad.
I know you're not a fan of the drunken bar music with an organ.
No, not so much, but I can be turned. I can always be turned.
Shut up, Admit.
I see. I don't know the reference.
It's just a Murder City Devil. It's so like that in my head. Like when you walk into a bar, they should be playing Murder City Devils.
Interesting. All right. I mean,
maybe you could be turned.
Maybe I could be. There's a lot of thunder going on outside.
Like thunder and lightning. God damn.
That's a Thin Lizzy reference. For those who don't know, go check out that episode.
Also, if you haven't heard Thin Lizzy's Thunder and Lightning, after you listen to Bronson Arm, of course.
Of course. Most people haven't heard Thunder and Lightning by Thin Lizzy. Most people have not.
It is a diamond. I don't even want to say in the rough because
they're
all done. Well, no, they're not.
No, it followed Renegades, which was a terrible album.
Anyways, yeah.
So apparently these guys have some live dates already booked for 2024. So go check out their Instagram. That's Bronson_Arm_noise. And also check out the interview that Tom did with them.
And their Bandcamp.
And their Bandcamp. I'm just so I'm selectively out of the loop where like I think that like there's no good noise rock bands and there's a fucking million of them. I just don't know where to go. So it's nice when someone throws one on my front door like this.
Yeah, I feel like it's something I enjoy, but I don't like seek out.
Yeah.
Like, if someone shows it to me, I'll be like, nice, but I'm not going to be like, what's happening in noise rock in 2024?
I would be more inclined because I'm such a huge noise rock guy, but
get on your shit, man.
I know I'm tired, but it's pretty sick and you should check it out. And yeah, why the hell not? It's a fun 2-piece, noisy. It's not going to win everybody over, but
maybe if you like sludge metal too, check them out.
Yeah, they're not sludgy, but they still have a lot of like the essence.
You can hear it, you can feel it.
Yeah, so do that. Cool, thank you, and big thanks to Tom for getting us this album early. It was very fun, and do all the other stuff such as following us and continuing to watch us. Go ahead and follow me on all social media at Pander Monkey and Alex on Instagram at
Every Album Alex.
Of course, Tom Osman. You got to check him out. Tom Osman Sounds on all social media as well as TomOsmanSounds.com for all his music stuff. And his Substack, TomOsman.substack.com for his new podcast, his interviews with other musicians, all his writing and musings about music. It's very cool stuff, very interesting. And he's got some big heavy hitters in there. So check it out if you like good, weird underground music. And of course, Patreon, baby. Patreon.com/everyalbumever. That's where you go. You get some bonus episodes. You get to see our schedule in advance. You get to vote on polls to decide who we cover next. You get to join our Discord, be a part of our community, and suggest these EAE singles episodes for us to record and do. You could also be a tier 2 member there. That's where you go if you want to suggest a full ass discography for us to cover on our bigger, longer numbered episodes. And in addition to requesting a full discography, all tier 2 members can suggest any album from any discography for us to cover on Patreon bonus episodes. So go there, do that. It's fun stuff. My EP, check out my EP. There's a link to that in the description as well. I guess
there's really only one song.
There's literally only one song we can end it with.
Wow, you technically 6, but
technically 6. You're right, but
I know you're not having that.
Hell no, let's fucking do it. This is one with the floor. So thanks so much for listening and watching. See ya.